Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 316 of Dial the Gate, the Stargate Oral History Project. My name is David Reed. I'm really thankful that you're joining me for this one because this is one that I've been waiting to do for a while for a couple of different reasons. Kevan Ohtsji, who is, did I pronounce that right, Kevin? Is that correct? All right. Kevan Ohtsji played Oshu in Stargate SG-1 for several episodes over a few different seasons. And this is a character that is very close to me and another person in my life, Diana Dru Botsford, author, writer, producer. She has written several different Stargate novels and a short, and we're going to talk about that as well. So there's going to be a lot condensed in this episode. This is a live stream, so the moderators are in the chat right now, ready to take your questions for Kevin and for Diana if you have them. And let's get right into it. Kevan Ohtsji, who played Oshu in Stargate SG-1, and Diana Dru Botsford, writer and producer. Kevin, let's start with you. How you doing?
Very good, thank you. Yourself?
I am well. I am thrilled to have you here. Huge thanks to Simone Bailey for connecting us. This was fantastic. This could not have happened without Simone, so I really wanted to get ahead of that and thank her. So this is great to have you.
Indeed, she's absolutely wonderful, and thank you again, Simone, as well for arranging this or putting us into contact.
That's absolutely right. Diana Dru Botsford, how are you, my friend?
Hello, long time. It's been a minute.
Absolutely. And right off the bat, I want to establish your connection with Stargate SG-1 and with you and Oshu specifically. Can you give us a brief rundown?
Well, I wrote a duology basically for MGM, Fandemonium, that the center of the whole thing was very much about Oshu and Lord Yu and their relationship and how many thousands of years it went back, basically. So I did a lot of research on it, but this was the one piece I never had the opportunity to do was to talk to you, Kevin. So this is pretty cool.
I'm all ears and looking forward to it. I find the character very fascinating and the circumstance. So yeah, looking forward to it.
I suspect you're going to be surprised a little bit by some of the stuff that she's come up with, but we'll see. When she says thousands of years, she is not kidding. And Jaffa usually live, a few hundred, but she has her ways about her. And it may be some spoilers for the novels, but hopefully we're going to be getting people interested in more of them, of going to have a look and reinvigorating some of this because I know
Should I
Fandemonium.
mention the names of the novels?
Yes, let's go ahead and do
Yeah,
that, Diana.
so yeah, it's Four Dragons was the first one, and then the sequel was The Drift.
Yes.
And for the sequel part of the research that I did, the sequel takes place in Antarctica, and I went to Antarctica for 2 weeks on a science research icebreaker. So I did that research, but talking to you, I didn't get to do. So now it'll have to become a trilogy now.
I would like that. Kevin, we want to start off with this mainly. I'd love to know, we'd love to know if you could share about a part that profoundly impacted you as an actor, as a person, and has kind of like bonded with your energy. It's something that you regularly think back on and say, I nailed that one, or I really felt like I grew with a certain part that I was playing. Is there any that hit you?
Off the top of my head, probably because I've just been in my mind reviewing this, I would say this role, Oshu. Another one was something. What comes to mind is two separate ones. I love character. I love drama. I love the exploration of humanity. One that was maybe a few years back. My dad had passed a few years ago, and I was playing the father on a show, and the scene was myself and my wife in the show had to break it to my daughters on the show that their grandmother had just passed. And so my father had passed maybe about a year and a half ago, and it was fine. He lived a wonderful life and died naturally. Um, but it was quite a special moment for me because in that scene, while obviously satisfying uh, the requirements of the scene, I was able to find within myself a way to kind of say hello to my father and goodbye to my father again. So I view that time filming was yeah, it was special. It was very sacred. So it's kind of like one of those moments that you want to tuck away and just keep for yourself. So that was something that was very uh, I shouldn't say unexpected, but I had been reflecting a while back. I guess maybe it'd been like a year since my father passed, and I was visiting my mom, and my mom's neighbor had just said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear about your father." She put her hand on my arm, and it was interesting because I thought no problem, I was totally fine, but I couldn't speak words. I couldn't even formulate. And I was after moments later, I went, "That's interesting. Where did that come?" And that's real. So, anyways, years later, or not years, maybe a year and a half later, I found myself in a scene, being able to link it with something. So I I don't know if that's profound or not.
It's pretty
In some
profound, man.
Oh, it's absolutely profound.
in 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 some I guess just reflecting, knowing that I was going to speak with you both today, I was for some reason I'm not sure if you two are familiar with the film Dead Poets Society.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite.
It's one of my Peter Weir, I believe. That was one of my favorites as well too. And as a young, I guess I must have been a boy back then. I love that film, and I reflecting back, I can't recall a specific moment. Oh, I would like to act, or I want to do this, but that film certainly inspired me. And there was one scene that I've been thinking about lately, and that was where Robin Williams' character, for anyone who's not familiar, he plays a headmaster, I guess, in a boys' prep school. I'm not sure when it was set, the 40s, 50s, 60s, a while back. But anyways, he was teaching these young boys of there was one lesson where he said, get up on the chair, stand up on the desk, look around the room at you. It's the same room, but it looks different, doesn't it? And I recall, I guess, I don't know, sometime when I was a kid, bored on like a Sunday afternoon, no one was home, and laying on the carpet, just kind of, I don't know, I guess just for whatever reason, bored, but I was going, hey, the room looks very different from my cheek on the carpet, as it would if I peered up this way, as it would if I was looking down, as it would. So, same room, but all these perspectives make it very, very different. And so I was just thinking that of different roles that I've played, um, how how amazing, how how did I find myself so lucky in order to not only analytically examine these different perspectives, but also go a step further and try to really embody them with different words and find my personal truth in that. And so I love characters that have, well, obviously conflict or conflicted, but if I can find that the character's truth and somehow try to find a way to link it to where it can make sense to me, even if I've got to make up obviously backstory situations, etc. That's what actors do. I find it incredibly rewarding. So I go off in tangents. So your
No,
audience, I'm
I love
sorry.
it. This is why we're here.
You know, if I may, there is a scene in the second of the books that deals with your genetic predecessor, who was the first prime before you were, but he got into trouble and got stranded on Earth, where he is dying. And well, no, he and his daughter are both dying, and they reunite as they die and ascend. And when I wrote that, it was very similar to what you said about connecting to my father had passed away. And there was some imagery for me that to this day, gives me a lot of solace, having to do with where he is, what he's doing post this planet, as it were. And I tapped into that, and I still to this day really appreciated being able to use that in Stargate, to be able to find a language that where I could connect to others and to explain what I was feeling and sensing. And I mean, that's the beauty of the franchise, is that it's just got so much depth to it, so much language to it.
Agreed. And I again just reviewing some of the episodes since this has been quite a while. There's a lot of depth that I'm going. I don't think I recognized at that time in my life when I was filming it. I think it was early 20s. I mean, I recognized it, but with a much younger perspective, so to speak. Obviously, I've lived a lot more life, so it's almost like a good book. If you read it when you're 17 years old, it has meaning. When you read it when you're 25, oh, I didn't see, and you read it when you're, say 40. Oh my, wow, I, so I guess that's why we work and create what we do from the heart, because if you create what you do from the heart, then hopefully it resonates with many.
Well, it's just like what you said. You're at a different height in the room. It's the same room, but you're experiencing the content differently. I can't tell you how many times I've watched a movie or a show at a different point in my life, and it's like, oh my God, I had to get hit over the friggin' head.
You're
It's
like,
right
they're speaking
there.
just to me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting hung up on all this stuff. No, that's great. And for those of you in the audience who ears perked up when Diana said genetic predecessor, what's going on there? We'll talk about that a little bit after Kevan gets to have his say about Oshu and fill in some of the more details in the larger canon of the show. But when did you discover acting? How old were you? What is it that got you into this thing that was like, you know what? I can do this. And not only can I do it, but I think I can do it pretty darn good.
Uh, I guess one would be a Dead Poet Society. I remember as a
Yeah.
kid, I loved again, I'm a kid. I loved the old, do you remember the old Perry Mason? I'm the youngest of three kids, and so I was kind of left on my own devices, and I watched a lot of shows and et cetera. But do you remember the old Perry Mason black and white show?
Not me
I love
specifically.
I love that. And so I wanted to be either a lawyer or an actor. But I was extremely shy. Not not I'm Japanese Canadian. I don't know if that has anything to do with the lineage of just being quiet or soft spoken or whatnot, but I seem to somehow I was just a shy kid. That's just my how I was. And so I think maybe the reason I'm recalling the Dead Poet Society is because Ethan Hawke's character, again, a very shy um, kid in this story, at the very end of the film, it's been a long time, so I don't think I'm putting out any spoilers there. Uh, it's kind of a little bit of a tragic ending, at least from my perspective, where Robin Williams, the headmaster, has really bonded with these boys, and I think formulated some good ideas, but it went against the authoritative, I guess, headmaster or board of directors, or just because this teacher was inspiring potentially creative and authentic ideas of the kids, and look, for a school, they just no, they should be doing as they're told. Anyhow, Ethan Hawke's character was so shy, so I guess I identified with that. And at the very end, Robin Williams' character gets kind of taken to the woodshed and removed of his position. And so we as the audience understand unfair. And anyways, at the very end, Ethan Hawke, who had been so afraid to speak, at the very end stands up on his desk and says, I believe it's "Oh Captain, my Captain," which was
That's it.
something that they had a very. It's been years since I've seen the show, but
That's it.
those moments stick with me. So anyhow, I guess that inspired me a little bit. I took drama when I was like in grade eight. I thought maybe a good chance to meet girls, and then I discovered it was fun, and I really I really enjoyed it. So I continued on taking acting classes throughout high school, but as I got to my later years, it was interesting because I recognized most people. I came to class with, I was all my lines memorized and I was ready to work and explore, but I was a little bit disappointed that I found a lot of people viewed it as like an empty block, or they didn't it was just like an easy course, so to speak. Um, but anyways, I just continued. I didn't know anybody from my family or friends. Nobody was in this industry, but I lived in Burnaby, which is a suburb of Vancouver. And Vancouver at that time, I guess it would have been, I mean, we had 21 Jump Street, uh,
Remember that?
21 Jump Street. We had a few, oh my goodness, Scully, Mueller, the
X-Files.
X-Files, the X-Files, etc. So I just thought, you know what? I feel this burning desire. I have no idea how to go about this. So I just searched through all these trade papers, anything I could get my hands upon. And I didn't know anything, didn't know anybody, started taking classes, got myself an agent, began to audition for a few shows. And there's an old saying that when you're on the right path, might be a Paulo Coelho saying, I'm not sure, but when you're on the right path, oh yeah, The Alchemist, when you have a dream, the universe can conspire to assist you in that. Well, I don't know. I know it's a book, but I'm an artist, so that's, sorry, this is what you're getting. um, but so I had some reasonable success with a few shows, commercials, etc. But at that time, I had thought there's no lead roles. I could just get maybe bit parts, but nothing's written for me. And I don't blame the people. I mean, if I'm Icelandic, I would want to write and produce Icelandic shows. And at that time, there just that weren't, at least not that I was aware of, that many people that would write roles for me. So I kind of went, okay, I should be realistic here. I mean, I grew up watching shows with a huge dream and a desire, but maybe that's all it is. So I went to a BCIT, which is like a trade college for marketing and communications, and I had thought that if I couldn't be in front of the screen, then well, perhaps I could somehow still be dealing with film and media, etc. When I finished my final exams, I had auditioned for something. I still, in my mind, I kind of half gave up filming or acting as a pathway. But when I finished my exams, my finals, I had auditioned and somehow booked a lead in a three-picture deal. It never got made. It was supposed to star Pat Morita, Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. It was supposed to star him. It was called Yoshi and Aki's Bounce Adventure. I was supposed to play Aki, and anyways, it was like a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so to speak. Uh, it was to do with snowboarding. Basic premise was, I guess, my best friend in the show, whose name I believe was Aki, he wanted to come to Canada to go snowboard and do all these amazing things, and my character wanted to just get laid. Anyways, I was so excited. I was still very young. The show got pushed. There's some issues with it. It never got made. But from that moment forward, I began to think, huh, there was a lead role that was written, and actually not only was one written, but I got it. Yeah, it didn't get made, but okay, maybe there's actually a possibility. So from that point forward, I started to really enroll and study into what I would say, like, the hard acting classes with theater scenes, and really immerse myself, and then just have been enjoying the ups and downs and cycles and waves of it all since.
I love what you said earlier about. There was a couple of quick points that I want to insert before Diana brings in the next piece. But I think we underestimate our ability far too often to be brave, and how we, as anxious as we are as people, if we step a toe outside of our comfort zone and it doesn't get cut off, we can maybe find the desire and willingness to proceed further. And the other piece to that I took away from what you said, based on what Ethan Hawke's character did in Dead Poet Society, is we was I trying to get at it? Don't underestimate the ability of a piece of art to influence you profoundly in ways that the creator doesn't even anticipate. Because you took that away from that character. It's like, I can be like that guy in that moment. I'm willing to stand on the desk, and I believe it risk expulsion, if I'm not mistaken the story correctly, because sometimes you have to stand up for what's right.
Yes.
Then have you never seen Dead Poet Society?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I believe if he stood up
Yeah.
on the desk, he was risking getting expelled. So it's
Yeah, I mean, they
been
were
about 7
reciting
or 8
Walt
years.
Whitman's. It's a Walt Whitman
Yeah.
poem. Oh, Captain, my Captain, and
Wasn't there
Carpe
also
diem, boys.
Carpe Diem and
oh yes,
but only in our dreams can we be truly free. Was always us and always thus shall be.
very good.
I forget a lot of films and novels that I've read other than I really enjoyed it, but there are certain ones that do stick with me, and that's one particular one.
It's a pretty good one to stick. He was amazing.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Diana.
So Stargate, can you tell us about your first awareness of it and what led you to your audition? How did that all come to be?
I was definitely aware of Stargate. I had seen a few shows, but I didn't follow the show, and I believe sorry, one moment. I think I've got an
No, you're okay.
Amazon delivery. Anyways,
Priorities.
where was I?
You were aware of Stargate.
Yes, I believe I had auditioned a few times for the show. I'm assuming I can't recall other than uh, the role of Oshu when I saw the breakdown for the sides.
Yeah.
It was just when I saw the sides and the dialogue, I was like, wow, this is profound. We're dealing with worlds, we're dealing with people, we're dealing with gods, we're dealing with duty, we're dealing with duty where things get into conflict. I it's interesting because I was looking at oh yeah, I remember thinking that for myself anyways, that this character would be, okay, he's the first prime of a god. I know well at the time I felt like I'm me, but looking back, I'm like, okay, I was a kid back then, but I didn't view it from that point. uh, I had thought that this character should have some sort of he'd be brought up in a court. He would be could be soft spoken because it's more the mind and the intellect, so to speak. And I had thought, for whatever reason, a bit of a British accent would be good, but I can't do a British accent, and I know those that do it perfectly. But something about the regular Vancouver voice, it didn't feel right when I put it on its feet. So I played around, and I had just thought, I'll do my version of British. Well, they're not, but I mean, it's not a fleet on Earth, so that doesn't make sense. Also, too, it wouldn't have to match because my character's not from Earth, but something to just give it a bit more of not regalness in a arrogant way, but I can't quite find the word, but I could see Diana and David, you're both nodding, so maybe
Yep.
the essence of it. Anyways, I just thought this is maybe silly, maybe not, but my best rendition. So I went with it and I auditioned, and to my surprise, I got noticed that I had booked it. This was my first guest starring role ever. So as an actor, you go through the different rails of really trying to get any work at all. You're happy with big roles, small roles, and I've done everything in between since then and to the present. Um,
Kevin, can you remember what was on the page when you auditioned or what you were given by the casting director in the way of direction, besides your own really wise choices?
Carol Kelsey, a casting director, very wonderful, wonderful woman. I honestly can't remember. I remember Martin Wood was in the room.
Oh, he
He
was.
was the
Okay.
director,
Mhm.
and I believe one of the producers, maybe a producer writer, was also someone else was in. I think there was Martin and someone else. There might have been Martin and two other people. Um, but I just did my thing, and back in the day, we all, you're sitting in the room opposite, a dozen others that look like you, and you're all,
Yeah. No videotaped auditions like we do now, right?
oh no. In fact, I think back then, I think I got my signs by fax.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, it was fax machine. And then my parents had this old or this fax machine, and always had this black line that would be on the page. So I'd kind of have to look, or did stuff get cut off, and you'd have to go to the production office for the script, and then physically go drive, get for the rewrites, etc. So what was your question again?
Well, I think what we're trying to get at is that now you've had a chance looking back to watch some of the episodes, perhaps some that are not just yours, but others. And you brought a very different take to how a first prime behaves
Mhm.
than pretty much any other actor, as far as, they were very boisterous, a lot of bravado. And you, as you said, you brought a lot of this quiet regalness to it,
Nuance.
intelligence
Oh,
to it, and strategy to it. So I will tell you, in the books, you're actually the descendant of Lao Tzu, The Art of War.
whoa, Jesus.
Uh-huh. Boom.
Yeah. So you
What?
you
What?
You're not a
Whoa.
Jaffa.
you are the clone. You are a clone.
Mhm.
He has been cloning you since back then. Lord Yu was an actual emperor in China. He wasn't a god, a mythical god. He was an actual emperor, and he did some pretty cool things to save the Chinese, including during a horrendous flood. He just out of the blue came up with this great idea on how to dig extra tributaries for the river so that the cities didn't flood. He was brilliant. So in his own way. So that in itself is a huge difference for the franchise. Every other Gould system lord was based off of a mythological character. Here was a real person who had really existed. So, I had felt it was important that you really existed too.
It's a very distinctive
So
choice because he's not a Jaffa at all. He's a cloned human. So
that's
it
right.
explains some of these different choices that you as an actor made, or the writers creating him made, because he negotiates, he appeals. It's not just cut and dry. It's you're navigating that role of responsibility, and okay, I must do as my God commands. Yes, but I'm also interested in my God's greater interests
Yeah,
as
but
well.
you know what? He only you. I checked this. You only used the word God once
Yeah.
in the entire all of your appearances. The rest of the time, you use Lord.
Mhm.
So I took it that you knew he wasn't a god. He was this great emperor, and you really respected him, and he was, in a sense, your father. You had a fatherly, you had a son's love. So, not to go to your head, but you have to understand that your performance informed all of this. It's not the other way around. It's because of your performance that I came up with all these crazy, nutty ideas based off your performance, which
Oh,
was
well,
wonderful.
wow. That's wonderful. It's interesting. Um, it's interesting because now it makes sense also with the writing. I was looking at believe it was New Order. So was that season?
That's season 8. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
really aging now.
Yeah. Some of the dialogue I got as watching. I was like, oh yeah, I feel like I'm more human than the system lords.
First
So
primes,
I
yeah.
at
Yeah,
first,
first primes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Both of you are tapping into the same thing here, which I think is really interesting. And I'm
Very cool.
interested, Kevin, to see in terms of what Diana has said, how much of that did you feel in your own performance when you were working it?
I did feel it. In fact, I mean, the actors themselves, wonderful people,
Yeah.
but in terms of the scene, through the eyes of my character Oshu, I was looking, going, all the system lords are all they're powerful, they have more intelligence. Everybody around them believes they're gods. Their primes do they act like they believe they're gods. I know I suspect, I don't know anything for certain, but they don't behave how they should be. And furthermore, they have very self-aggrandizing viewpoints. They're entirely highly intelligent, but manipulative. And so I didn't in the scene with Camulus and Amaterasu, I was
Yeah.
thinking they're using my Lord Yu, understanding he can be kind of pushed aside. I recognize I don't have the same stature as them, so I can recognize that, but it's kind of like I'm realizing we're not wolves, but I'm protecting my people.
Mhm.
But it's a difficult situation because I have duty, obviously, 100%, Diana. That's how I viewed it, as Lord Yu is my father, with that fatherly duty, fatherly love, but also his most important. Yes, it's a feudal system, but his most important duty is to his people. So if he's making decisions that could potentially destroy our whole civilization, then I'm bound to duty to him,
Mhm.
to Lord Yu. And so when he orders something, I'm bound to that. But at the same time, if he's losing some of his cognition and it puts the entire existence of all of what he stands for in jeopardy, what do I do?
Mm.
Yeah.
What can I do? And I'm the only one that recognizes this
Uh-huh.
I'm the only one. I can't speak. And so that's a wonderful scene with Teal'c. And so I made up in my own head when I believe it was Fallen or Homecoming. I can't when Teal'c is taking when I take Teal'c captive, um, because I believe Lord Yu had made an order.
Chadawa
And
system. Go this way, not this way.
right,
Rules have changed.
that's right. And
Yeah.
Teal'c goes, you cannot. And to me, I'm
Yeah.
going, oh, okay, well, I
Yeah.
now I have to do something because my lord cannot lose face.
Yeah.
I have to imprison you, and I have to do as he says. But I recognize I don't have as much experience. And in my viewpoint, preparing for the role, or at least working through it, was in my mind. I was thinking I'd heard Teal'c's character I've heard of before. I've heard negative things, that he was a traitor, but I've also heard that he was honorable. And so, me in a position where completely screwed,
Hmm.
my people are, and time is running out.
Hmm.
Here's an opportunity to potentially confide. I don't know, but reaching out to maybe just even my conscience, to someone who um, uh, might might
Serve both
resonate.
interests.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
that this first prime was so unlike any of the others in terms of the fact that we're in season 7 at this point. We've seen a few of these guys, but they didn't throw you a bone. They threw you a steak because he is one of the oldest, if not the oldest Goa'uld still around. And the character obviously relies on you for on Oshu for a great deal in terms of the day-to-day pencil pushing at the office. You know he's going, and I think by the time that season 8 comes around, what's happened is that the writers have gotten on board the fact that yes, you is getting ancient or older,
Long in the tooth.
long in the tooth. He doesn't have long for the universe, and Oshu is stuck in the middle of having to negotiate all of these situations. And we've never seen a first prime in that situation before, having to do that. A lot of them would just throw in the towel. Oh, he's not a god. I'm out. Who's the real god? And having to play all of this politics. We've seen shots of Yu's planet. This is not I would argue it's probably not a under the boot society. I get the impression that you had a great deal of respect for his people and the worlds that he ruled. I mean, obviously, it's still a totalitarian system, but in terms of the Goa'uld, he's probably I would want to be there instead of any of these others. So
More fair, would you say?
probably a little bit more fair. Yeah.
I think that's part of what Yu's motivation was when he said, we're going in the other direction. He didn't want to put his people in harm's way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hence Sun Tzu. A lot of the principles and
Yeah. The 4 dragons were all 4 incredibly important historical characters in ancient Chinese history. Lao Tzu, Sun Tzu, Confucius, and I forgot who the 4th one was, but you were in charge, obviously, of the other 3, and you were all 4 human clones of those originals, because when Yu was Goulded thousands of years ago and he left, he took all of you with him.
so much wisdom in. I think I have the book of Lao Tzu. It's like Caesar.
It's okay.
Yeah. Anyways, Meditations by
Well, yeah, he's
Marcus
the
Aurelius.
evil, there's Lao Tzu, there's Sun Tzu. I'm sorry, Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War, and that's who you are.
Oh, I was
Right,
confusing
of
Lao
course.
Tzu.
Right.
Sorry.
Lao Tzu is the one who you throw the sticks, and it's the whole,
The I
but
Ching.
it's also a bunch of meditations. But, it's interesting because we're talking about culture. I mean, ancient Chinese history is extraordinary. Ancient Japanese history is extraordinary. But, let's be frank here, they are 2 warring countries. They were at one point, and at one point, little Japan went and took over China. That's
And
what
yet,
the last emperor.
yes, and yet kanji, so Japanese language, there's hiragana, and so that's like alphabet.
わかりました、日本、少しですか?
Oh, so this. So I'm 3rd generation. My Japanese is not fantastic either.
I'm
But
sure it's better than mine.
oh, I don't know. But kanji, a lot of like, I remember taking martial arts as a little kid, and like 1, 2, the characters for 1, 2, 3, like to 10 are exactly the same in Chinese. And then I'm looking, going, my guess is we're all well, look at us, we're all connected somehow through obviously
Sure.
many wars and different things have
Yeah.
occurred since, but at some point, obviously, I believe, a lot of the characters in the Japanese language, they have the same meaning as Chinese. My assumption is that that's where it came from. That's my guess.
So
Yeah.
what becomes crazy then, though, is Vince, who plays your boss, as it were. So I looked him up on IMDb, and even though correct me if I'm wrong, he's Latino or Hispanic with a last name like that.
Crestejo, I'm not sure of his ethnicity. I know I'd worked with his brother Michael Crestejo. He was doing stunts, or a coordinator.
Yeah, I saw that, but Vince did too. He
Yes.
did a lot of stunts too. So
Right.
talk about the collaboration of you and Vince, because there was a rhythm there, as if you guys had been in every episode of all 200 plus.
I
It was
mean, it's
amazing.
Fit right in.
I don't recall specifics of this of our discussion, but I remember Vince was just a super nice guy, like a total genuine sweetheart type of a person. So we probably had chatted about his brother, and I think he liked golf, or he was gonna open a golf. I can't remember, but he just was a really wonderful person. So on set you can connect, and he was very open, and I guess so was I. So I'm happy that that's how it transpired onto film.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's layers there for sure. Whether they're intentional or not, they're there. And since I've started this show, I can't find hide nor hair of him anywhere except on LinkedIn. I really would love to sit down and talk with him. So if you know anybody who might know how to get in touch with him, I would love to talk with him about you because there's a lot of depth to that character in those just few episodes, which you piggybacked off of. So, are there any specific memories of your time on production that really stand out to you? Is there anything from that arc of experience that really jumps out?
In Stargate, I was in awe of the sets, the co not just the writing and then the character, and also the storylines. Rewatching it, how wonderfully crafted it was. These stories still are, because you have a levity and a humor, um, but you're dealing with such profound things, and they're rooted, I believe, in our, as best as we can tell, our history. So, specific moment. I found myself oftentimes just looking at the cameras and the lighting and the all the people behind it, and these beautiful sets. I guess it would be like inside
The motherships?
the mothership, the commands,
Oh
just
yeah.
in the hallways, the lighting. Um, I'd never seen one of those like LED tube thingies, but it just, I mean, to my human eyes, I'm like, how, like, because there's ceilings, there's doors, they open. I was honestly, I had to uh, make sure I could focus, because I was just in awe of it all. And I guess I'd been acting for a few years, but in retrospect, I was very um, still very very green.
Mm.
So it, yeah, I would just say in awe. Specific. I was impressed with Teal'c, obviously. I
Oh,
mean, talk
Christopher.
about
Oh man.
yeah, Christopher Judge. If you imagine stoic in a dictionary, I could see his picture picture of his of Teal'c.
But you turn that camera off, you better look out.
Oh, he crushed me with a pinky, I'm sure. Yeah, no, wonderful. Everyone on the show was so friendly, so welcoming, and they made everything look easy. Uh, I still have immense respect for what's that?
Martin Wood?
Martin Wood. I worked with them a few years back on a few episodes of
Virgin River.
Virgin River,
Hmm.
and I think with more adult eyes, or more experienced eyes, and probably, well, I hope I've matured since my time at Stargate. I was watching him, and it's like he has such, at least my viewpoint of him is, he has such a strong vision, and with just the slightest word, just the slightest touch, was able to give some direction or some nuance, which someone in his crew or an actor would just naturally feel like thanks, and they would go with it. And I was going, this is true. I mean, what a veteran. Like, he has a very strong hand, but you never feel the hand. In fact, it feels like a nice, relaxed, well-oiled machine. And that's the feeling I had going in and filming in Stargate, was the whole crew. I mean, a very well-oiled machine. Yes, gets the work done. When it comes time for crunch time, everyone's seems to be on it, and but throughout the day, and obviously if you're working long hours, it makes sense to have a very friendly, loose feel, and humor was normal. I can't remember what episode, but I believe it was Yeah, I'm pretty certain it was Stargate when they were switching from film to digital.
Hmm.
Mm.
So I could
Season 8.
hear yes, and I could hear. I'm not sure if it was some of the gaffers or the DOP, but I was listening, hearing the chatter of the crew going, "It's supposed to be better. Yeah, we don't have to develop the film. Still takes us the same amount of time to set up, though." So I recall that because it was like it's new. Oh, what's this? And we were dealing with using green screens, obviously, Stargate and whatnot. But it was a new technology. So those are my. I had actually forgotten. There's a scene that I had with Tori Higginson, Dr. Elizabeth Weir, and
Yes.
no, and I I I had totally forgotten about that scene completely because it's been many years and I watch. I'm like, oh, I love that scene. I really connected personally with that scene. Scenes like that with that type of matter is what prompted me to want to become an actor.
Oh, I remember that scene. Free us to fight, and if
Yeah,
we must, die with honor. I love that line. I love that line.
me too.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt like I think I'm more, well, definitely more human than, which makes me. I'm not sure. I might have questioned it when I was filming it or acting it, but certainly uh, present day, I'm looking, going, yeah, I think I'm pretty sure I know I felt that I was more human, but that makes a lot of sense,
Mhm.
and it would make sense that I'm, um, pleading with what makes humans unique, empathy, which can be a weakness or it can be a strength. It's simply an attribute. It's a tool, and so I thought, you're not going to gain from me. I mean, you could torture me. That wouldn't be fun. I would die, but I would. Uh, my life is I lay down my life in a heartbeat, 100% for my Father, my Lord, and for my people. So this is pointless.
Mhm.
Um, and if you're not going to help us, then at least let us fight. And if we're going to die, die standing up and not on our knees. And I thought, anyways, wonderful scene, wonderful
Yeah.
writing. So
Yeah, the
deliberate.
writing for your character was, I would love to have been a fly on the wall to know what drove them to decide to give you the words to be so different as a first prime versus the other first primes that had come before who had just been bombastic and barked out orders. It was a very different direction. Teal'c was the only other first prime, and that only for him came once he was off the yoke of his system lord. For you, you were still with Lord You, and yet you had critical thinking skills, you had depth, sincerity. The writer had to have started in the writer's room.
Mhm.
I'm guessing so poetic and so much, yeah, so much depth, so much meaning, so much and Teal'c was um yeah, I guess as a first honor. I mean, that guy, if you just his whole presence to me just speaks some honor. Yes, that
Mhm.
sense.
Diane,
Both both the character, well, well, he was a nice guy, but I always viewed him as, yeah, stoic, serious, grounded, talented. Yeah.
Diane,
So, I mean,
yeah, go
to,
ahead.
to avoid being stereotypical, but to work more with the archetypical end of this, the Asian cultures, this is what they're known for. They have their entire cultures are built on honor, truth, amazing military skills. I mean, hello, The Art of War
Yeah.
is it's necessary reading in the U.S. military. It is necessary reading, and I suspect in other cultures it is as well. So for them and you to have had the wherewithal to apply that was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, really, really, really amazing stuff.
Diana, is there anything more that you want to fill in to what the whistles of fans who are going to go out to StargateNovels.com or some of these other websites that we're going to talk about and pick up these two books to fill in more of the detail for them? Is there anything that you would like to express from the novels that we haven't yet?
Well, first off, they're only available as Kindle now because they're that old.
Seriously?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, when I go to cons, I have copies for sale, and I'm actually going to be at a con in a few weeks that I'll have copies at, but they are only available as Kindle now. But one of the things that was fun to play with you and Jack O'Neill's character, because this is also very much the theme for the two novels really is about identity. It's about Jack trying to figure out where is he going with his life, what's he going to do, and it's about who are you, Y-O-U, Oshu, who is Oshu, and who is Lord Yu, and who is also this predecessor of yours who got stuck on Earth and actually had to deal with Chairman Mao in the 50s.
There's a scene.
Yeah.
I am your chairman. And it was like, whoa, my God. And I knew it was coming from Diana.
That is based on fact.
Yeah.
In the Cultural Revolution, they executed all the ambassadors, and they took the gardeners and the plumbers and they made them ambassadors. And that is how your predecessor ended up becoming an ambassador to the United States. He went through the gate into Antarctica. Got lost, had to survive in Antarctica, actually stumbled across some of the artifacts that were left by the famous explorers going from the 19th into the 20th century. And then he was discovered by a group of explorers in the 40s who were like, who the hell are you? What are you doing here? They took him back with them, and then they eventually just you're Chinese, you belong in China, we're just going to drop you off there. And to survive, you became a gardener. And then the Cultural Revolution hit, and you are outside gardening when Chairman Mao comes along, having just slaughtered everybody inside the embassy, and he makes you an ambassador.
What an amazing
not you, your
character.
predecessor.
Doesn't matter. What an amazing character. Holy cow. I love wow.
Because the gold do genetic memory really well.
So I was a professor at a university, and we had a Chinese national in my department, and she provided me an enormous amount of insight into the language and the culture and all that. And I also did a lot of reading on my own. And, it's, and I'm sure you can understand this, it is, I'm a white chick writing ancient Chinese culture, right? So it's even more important to get it right. And it's even more important to open yourself up to what others can contribute to it. And I think that was another reason why, Kevin, I was so taken by what you did, is that you did so much honor to Lord Yu's history while still maintaining your own identity. And again, I wish that they had, did they discuss bringing you back for any more episodes or?
I personally had hoped for that.
Obviously.
All I knew was I did the Fallen Homecoming, and then some time had passed, and then I got noticed that in another episode, a few episodes, and so I completely kept in the dark. But after Homecoming, where Oshu had pleaded and Dr. Elizabeth Weir released the System Lords to, fight and die with honor if they must. I was thinking, that character has a connection to what's going on. So I was hoping, and then the next time Replicator Carter ended up killing Lord Yu, and then it's assumed that I was toast, and so was Lord Baal's representative.
So let's back up for a second. You get this script. Is the script your first awareness of this? Was there a phone call having said, "Oh, just so you know, in the teaser you're gone"? What was your reaction to this? Tell us viscerally, if you can remember, what happened. You open the document. You're sitting down.
I don't know, but what? No, this can't be right. No, this can't be right. Read. Okay. Well,
Not a bad way to go.
not a bad way to go, but
Yeah.
I've got a. By the way, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching that episode. There's a lot of really cool. I mean, like I said, the writers. Holy crap. Yeah. I mean, surprise. I've had that before too, where I've got a great character. Then you get this, finally this episode or this script, and then no.
I never saw you as dying, though. That's really interesting.
You don't think she killed him?
Well, yeah. To me, I was going, is this real in this story? Because again, I'm not. I don't have I wasn't filled into the information between the episodes in between to where we got. So, well, it's like an actor. You've got to figure it out, make sense of it, and be truthful to what the story, what the scene requires. So I didn't. Yeah, it was news to me too. I had really high, and I really loved the character. I really loved the situation and the worlds, and the internal turmoil that this character was thrown into. So I really enjoyed exploring all that. But yeah, I was not happy to see that scene. Happy to be on the show, obviously, but yeah.
No, it's one of the most visceral experiences to out of the entire canon to watch, and I always went back and forth. Should she stab him in the heart, or should she had taken his head off? I mean, in terms like what's like symbolically is the most interesting. I suppose stabbing him through the heart, but the reaction, the look on your face when that occurs, it's literally, I've failed. I'm standing right here letting this thing happen. What do you think the character was thinking when this happens? Thousands of years of service and then done. Out of a job. Soup line.
I mean, I think like most things that would be tragic to most people, shock in the initial moment. You can't believe it's happening. You can't believe it's real and 100%.
Yeah.
I think in that instant, no actual thoughts, but within that visceral feeling is all of what you'd mentioned. How can this be? And that's is our entire civilization. Is it all over? This can't be real. This can't be. What is but it happens in a split second. So it's only when we go back and think back and try to articulate would it make sense of that. But it was the visceral just, oh my God. Well, it's like anyone losing a loved one or seeing a close friend, let's say, and right in front of you, say a tragic accident. Knock on wood, I don't want that to happen to anybody, but great scenes.
Yeah, for sure.
I wanted to say even the so maybe we're going a little bit off the beaten track. You can just interrupt me if I
go ahead.
But I was just thinking of the concepts of replicator Carter. I can't remember what episode, but I believe it was Daniel Jackson character who was speaking to replicator Carter, with representation of her, and he was saying, it doesn't matter how much you have all the information in your system downloaded, way more than any human could ever be capable of. But what is it you want from humans? It's the understanding, the cognition, the piecing together, to put together the dots, and our humanity or our empathy or compassion or these things, these are the things. The comprehension is something that your infinite data, as much money, as much power as you want, you can't have the real thing. So to me, I'm just thinking, what will AI look like as we all have to live through it? Now, obviously, there's like anything, it's a tool. It's a wonderful benefit. My concern is much like, let's say there's young people today that are, say, 16 or 17. Let's say they have children. What are the chances they're going to be able to navigate without a GPS? What is the chance to be able to um, not even write cursive handwriting, but even be able to read someone else's? And so to me, I'm thinking if we're if we're going into a world, and so this is me as Kevin just thinking, and I find parallels within Stargate SG-1, which is awesome. But if suddenly, oh, my phone or whatever device we use, here's the AI and here's the logic, here's these things. That's wonderful. That's amazing. There's a lot of benefit. Well, to me, I have a few questions. One is, what information is put in there? Is it accurate?
Yep.
Can it be infiltrated? Can it be so? Meaning, if we become so dependent on this, is there a possibility these things can be corrupted? Because if they can be, and if they are, even if it's a 1% chance, and we rely completely on it, then what does that mean for humans? And then furthermore, I guess the question I had, which spurred the thought in my mind, was, what about our reasoning, our critical thinking, our logic that you, David, have, that you, Diana, have, that I have, that what if we have a generation or two where that logic is now on a, you're getting it, it's not your own. So might we lose the ability to to have the understanding of logic? So these are deep questions. I don't know the answer, and frankly, it's almost like you can't put the toothpaste back in the toothpaste container. So it's here whether we want to. So I'm going, well, how do we move forward? And obviously we can find benefits. And I was just thinking of, I was just thinking, imagine you could have all these wonderful artists using amazing software to create these wonderful songs with the beat, and they don't need to necessarily have to know how to drum, and like, you can have amazing works of art, and no doubt we will. Will it be abused? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Can anybody do anything to change it? Not really. Things have got to run their course. But I'm thinking if we do have, let's say, years and years and years and years and years and years of synthetic, artificial stuff being created, after a number of years, I get a sense that you go to a cafe or somewhere, and there's just a lone person with an acoustic guitar singing their heart out, and people that go,
Mm-hmm.
that we want that. It's like having fast food all the time. No offense to fast food restaurants. And if that's your whole, that's what you have on a daily basis for 4 years, and suddenly, an average home cooked meal, and you sit down and you're like, oh, this is so nice.
But the question is, will humanity prevail with these, LLM models? Because this is not AI, you know that, right? We have not hit a singularity. This is all fourth dimensional search engines.
Mm-hmm.
They're just spitting back text that they've found somewhere else.
Right.
There's no original thought. They are not sentient.
It's the quality of the information that gets put into there.
That's
And so,
right.
so yeah, technically we don't. So to me, I get like, I agree with you. Will we go to the point where we do have like and a lot of films have been made about like man versus machine intellect and this. Anyways, these are things I just I think about.
There's a lot to unpack there, for sure.
Sure. On a
And you were writing, Kevin, are you writing about this kind of stuff? Are you looking at these themes?
I get intrigued and I get inspired, and then I write all this sort of stuff and the ideas, and then usually I look back and go, was that just me with the spark, with the spur of often I find, and I don't think I'm being so self-critical, but I'm like, maybe that story is just meaningful to me, but it doesn't really seem like it would capture that much. And then I have a lot of, I finished a few projects, but in all honest, I'm just being honest, like I would, and if they were decent, I'd say so, but I'm going, the work you do and the writers do is absolutely phenomenal. And furthermore, I've also found, even though, my characters do sound quite similar, because even though I'm an actor and I like to get into walking a mile in someone's shoes, what would their upbringing? But even still,
Kevin,
what you do is a wonderful craft. Yes,
who's to say what is decent? You know,
I
you,
know.
you you present this to someone else,
Oh,
that
David's right.
they factor in as well. And two, and I cannot emphasize two enough, perfection is the enemy of completion. So you may be stalled and someone else will be like, "Oh my god, you're almost there. Keep going." You need the right people around you, buddy.
It's true.
Because there are times it's like, "Yeah, that sucked." But maybe not.
And also, quite frankly, writing is about sitting your butt in the chair and just doing it every day.
Yeah,
Just
I
do
wrote,
it
I had
every
this on my
day.
computer from a I'm sure you can.
Try and fail and get up again and fail better. Repeat. That's right.
I'm not sure. Maybe I should word that in a more positive instead of fail. But it kind of makes sense of, and I agree with you. And it's the same thing with acting. I mean, you can only do your best at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I mean, you just
Well, you saw the movie The Lion in Winter, right? With Audrey Hepburn and Peter O'Toole.
I am not familiar with that.
Oh, well, it's not about the falling down, it's about the getting up that matters.
Ah,
Failure is
Very
far more
famous
interesting.
line in there.
Yeah.
It's very famous.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. I do highly recommend it. But yeah, I mean, everybody fails every day, and but our super egos, our parents are in our heads saying, not good enough, not good enough, not good
yeah.
enough.
Or don't even try.
Where's the A? You got an A minus. Where's the A? Right?
0.9. Where's that extra 1%? Yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
I
And
have-
Gotta be.
David's right. It's about completion. It's not going to
I
be
know.
perfect.
We've got to be kind to we got to be kind to ourselves. Yes.
There's a balance to strike there because self-criticism is so important. Because if you're thinking, "Oh, I'm perfect," that's just as bad. Could be worse. So I have some fan questions to get to for
Please.
you. So a lot of this we went over. I'm just reading these through pretty quickly, first time myself. So if you want to like put a bow on anything, and then we'll just move on, that's fine. Lockwatcher says you worked with Martin Wood as a director more than once in Stargate. You worked with him again in Virgin River. And what was it like getting back with Martin again?
Awesome.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in very strong, capable hands. I
Jer-
did notice he does like a lot of movement. So
Yeah.
I remember I was shooting a scene where I think it was all dialogue, and I played an eye specialist doctor. I was in any case, the scene was written where I've got some dialogue and I'm on the phone in my car, but obviously on the day it didn't. We started outside the car with a whole bunch of extras. It was rainy. Walked down this sort of. So what I prepare, anyways, you've got to be on your game. For me, I found just be extra prepared working when I work with Martin. But I know I'm in very strong hands and a very very creative, talented guy. I can't say enough. I have the huge respect, and like I had said, from my observation, I'm like that's in my viewpoint the quintessential director, one that has a very strong hand, has a very strong vision, and with the slightest touch, you don't even realize he's good. He doesn't just get what he wants with a slight touch, but he inspires others to bring out the best of themselves. That's what I witnessed. So yeah, huge respect. What a fantastic director in person. I'm very appreciative I got to work with him the amount of times I have. Yeah.
Great human being, so insightful. Jeremy Heiner wanted to know, you were in Assassin's Creed Shadows. What was that experience like? And how is voice acting in a video game different from being on camera? What are some of the different parts of yourself that you access to pull off the performance? What changes?
That was a cool character. I was in the sound booth quite often, and had to fly a few times into Montreal to for mocap, motion capture. Um, he was known as the Great Traitor. So interestingly, I before our contact, it's been a few decades since SG-1, but I realized actually just for this interview, yeah, Akechi Mitsuhide was known as the great traitor. He was one of the generals under Oda Nobunaga, and he actually betrayed him at the end. And I believe my character. Anyways, I'm getting way off. It's a wonderful
Fine.
experience. The inside the sound booth, it's great because I can just speak like this. I found a wonderful internal life now to me going back to feudal 16th century Japan of a real character
Mm.
and a character who actually I love playing antagonists because I have to try to get into a different frame of reference of where my words are still truthful, but from that very different perspective, like much like we're saying of the Dead Poet Society or the analogy of the five blind people touching the elephant, all arguing with each other. Um, uh, this character got to experience the moment of his death and a realization that he would be killed, and recognizing as well too that he had betrayed his master in a big way. But at that time, I have to wrap my mentality around this is a different era that I wouldn't understand that, people, this is an era where if you're not strong, if you're not able to kill, someone will come and take it from you. They will take your women, your children, rape them. You will be enslaved. There is no second chance. This is the world we live in. Now it's different because that's not the world we live in, not the world I live in. But how can I imagine, marinate in that world and try to think of the humanity together with all of the faults that we all have of viewing the world in we have egos, we have hurt, we have all these different things that make us human, which is why I like the work that we do in film. We get to explore these things. So it was it was wonderful. And again, cast, crew, phenomenal. I want to say that like 95% of all the productions I've ever been on, I mean, they're all amazing, grounded, down to earth people. There is the odd, very small percentage of a very large ego. And it's interesting because just observing, it translates all the way down, filters all the way down. If it's from someone of a position of power, whether it be a producer, exec producer, you can see that, or even one of the leads on a show, you can see that filter all the way. Everyone still does their job, but it's a different feeling. But I want to say, not the vast majority, famous, not so famous, big budget, not big budget, most people, I think, I'd like to think because we recognize we're doing something very special.
But
So-
it is very much about number one on the call sheet in a cast. I used to be in the TV film industry also, so yeah, I would imagine RDA had a lot to do with setting the tone for the Stargate set. Richard Dean Anderson.
Oh, yeah. Well, worked out quite well, I would say.
But a lot of humor, a lot of heart, and a lot of professionalism.
Yes. Just putting a button on the question, David. I want to say it was to the viewer, it was a great experience, a wonderful, fun experience to me, and also getting to put on an accent with the 16th century. It feels so, and I can get the T-shirt and sweatpants, and I mean, you just
Plate of Oreos. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the real juice for me, or the real what I really enjoyed that was different, I think that was your question, was I got to be very very intimate, so to speak. So very connected with the soul and mind. You're probably not hearing it because you're playing the video game, but for me as a performer, I'm able to really explore and internalize, and I can be very subtle because the microphones are very good.
And the stakes are less. You don't have 100 people standing around waiting for you to hit your mark and hit the words exactly. You can be more intimate with yourself and explore, I would imagine, a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
that's right. That's right.
yeah, I've got two questions, one for each of you. A little bit. Don't. These will be quicker. Kevin Weaver wants to know. Kevin, did you get to keep anything from the set or the show?
Oh, good question.
From Stargate, I don't. I would have loved to. No, no. I've got to say no for that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And Diana, if you could single out your favorite storyline from the franchise, Raj Luthor wanted to know what it would be.
Wow.
And Lockwatcher asked a huge question that I'm not even going to even approach because I would love to have you back to talk about your love of science fiction and your writing.
Is that for Kevin? You
That's
mean?
for you, Diana. I want to
for
have
me.
you back.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Honestly, that duology, it was Jack's storyline that I explored in Four Dragons and then the sequel, The Drift, because he was adrift. You could see it in him and his acting choices. So and especially once he became general, you could see he was still.
You wanted to quit?
You knew the actor was tired and wanted
Yeah.
to be with their child, and you knew all the backstory, but you try to be in the world. So I was trying to come up with, he was going through midlife crisis. He was going through, who am I and what's next for me? And how can I still give and be the best I can be, but how can I grow? I mean, if you think about everything the guy has done, what is there left to do? So for me, that was definitely my favorite storyline, was watching what was happening with that character in seasons 7 and 8.
Thank you both so much. Kevin, this was tremendous. I hope you've had as much fun as Diana and I clearly have had. This has been a really great experience to have you on and share some stories from production. So
Thank you. Huge
Great
pleasure.
to meet
Feels like we've been talking for just 5 minutes.
I know, right? And Diana, I really appreciate your insight and being willing to explore so willingly so many of the facets of what you put on paper decades ago that are still relevant to our lives as Stargate fans, and people can still go out there and pick it up on Kindle. So
This is a franchise that could have 1 million episodes and it wouldn't tire out.
yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having me, David. It was great to meet you, Kevin.
Likewise, both.
If
Thank
either
you.
of you guys have to split, I understand, but I'm going to wrap up the show on this end.
I'm cool. I'll stick around as you.
Alrighty, I'll be right back. Thank you. Okay, if I can push the right button. All right, Kevan Ohtsji, and not you. My gosh, I made it through almost the whole thing. Kevan Ohtsji, who played Oshu in Stargate SG-1, and Diana Dru Botsford, writer-producer, author of The Drift and Four Dragons. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you enjoy Stargate and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, I'd appreciate it if you click the like button. It makes a difference with the show and will continue to help us grow our audience. I don't know why it's that size, but I'll expand. And please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click subscribe. And if you plan on living, give the bell icon a click so you get the notifications of any last-minute guest changes and the moment new video drops. And clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next few weeks on both the Dial the Gate and GateWorld.net YouTube channels. I have a tremendous team that helps me pull this off week in and week out. I do not sail this boat alone, and I'm thankful for all of them. My producers, where's my producer list? There it is, because I don't want to miss anybody. Anthony Rowling, Kevin Weaver, Linda Gate Gabrifury, you guys make this show possible. My moderating team, Anthony, Jeremy, Kevin, Lockwatcher, Marcia, Raj, Summer, and Tracy. Thank you for having my back, literally in the chat. And to Frederick Marcoux over at Concepts Web, he keeps dialthegate.com up and running. We have a huge slate of guests heading your way very soon. Keep it on dialthegate.com for the complete schedule. Some things get moved around, and that's the best place to keep an eye on everything. Another guest, Matthew Bennett, coming up in just a moment here, and tomorrow 2 episodes as well. My name is David Reed for Dial the Gate. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you on the other side.